Good. So Representative Bettencourt, so then your amendment would not, I take it, address the issue of new taxes on the incomes of corporations or partnerships or limited liability companies, whatnot?
It says personal income.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, perhaps, I have always opposed an income tax, but also always opposed this language in the Constitution. I want to give you a chance to convince me. I've opposed anything in the Constitution that doesn't basically deal with our form of government or a basic freedom. Given those two parameters, can you convince me why I should support this at this time when I haven't in the past?
Thank you, Representative Vaillancourt, and I have to say that I like this question a lot. I think it gets to a deep and underlying philosophical question, and I would answer it this way. And I don't want to get too abstract. I'll answer it this way. If you look at books on political science, and if you look at books on political philosophy, in addition to men such as Jefferson and Madison on the American side, men such as Locke and Hobbes on the English side, you'll also see individuals such as Adam Smith and Keynes and Milton Friedman and others. And I think that that is important because I think that you find that the theories and the approaches to how government is constructed and how what kind of relationship government should have to the people is inseparably married to matters of finances and economics. And you talk about basic freedoms. Well, I think that certainly our founding fathers felt that the fruits of one's labor was a freedom that should be left to the laborer. And I think that it's the reason why, when we, at the founding of the country, when ideas such as income taxes were put forward, that the founders immediately rejected them almost out of hand. And individuals such as Hamilton, who had, I think, the most in-depth mind when it came to economics, understood that it was a restriction against the people and their ability to, as I said, earn the fruits of their labors. And as in getting back to the first point, to recap quickly, this is a matter that certainly deals with economics, finance. And I think that, as I said, it is where our revenues come from and the amount of money that government has at its disposal has a critical impact on how government is constructed and ultimately how it behaves.
Thank you. To follow on to what Representative Bass and I asked just a moment ago, if I understand this correctly, then you're talking on new tax, so this would not prevent the interest and dividends tax from being raised at any time federal legislation.
What this says clearly is that there is no new tax on personal income. That, I would believe, leaves this legislature and the governor ultimately with the ability, if they so choose, to increase or decrease, as the case may be, the interest and dividend tax.
Yes, I have a question. Representative Bettencourt, wouldn't you agree with me that those political philosophers you quoted, that underlying their individual philosophies was a recognition that in exchange for the benefits and safeties and securities you obtain from a society, that you then have a responsibility to contribute to the common good?
I would certainly agree that that was something that they definitely believed. However, I don't believe that they felt that responsibility extended to their income. And that responsibility can be extended to the form or take the form of an income tax.
there was a need to elevate the amount of income to even maintain basic services than what's available to the state now. And if in fact you believe that you raise, for example, interest and dividend taxes, wouldn't that need unfairly tax a certain segment because you're limited to your resources for obtaining those funds needed to continue and maintain basic services, and if you only have those available, would that be unfair to that?
Well, I think that you're just assuming that we would immediately turn to interest and dividends taxes in the case of a need to raise revenue. I think that you have several options in that case. One is to examine other taxes. Another example is perhaps to make some tough choices in spending in other areas.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Representative Bettencourt, as I listen to you, I'm wondering, do you envision that if this was adopted, that it would possibly provide a investment or prosperity, or be a magnet for new jobs, and otherwise add new forms of revenue? I mean, is there a positive thing that would, rather than limit us, that this could actually expand our revenue?
I think that there is the potential for that, and I believe that there is the potential for that because I think it sends a clear signal to the business community, and it sends a clear signal to individuals thinking about perhaps moving to New Hampshire that this is not an option, that an income tax is not an option. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I would point out that this is a CACR, which means that when it's all said and done, this will go before the people to make their own choice. And I believe that the people are smart enough to understand the importance and the ramifications of it. And I'll say, as I alluded to in my opening statement, and perhaps this more directly addresses your question, we've got some decisions to make here about some serious public policy matters in the very, very near future. And I think that as we move forward, we need to perhaps take a more serious look at what's going to be acceptable. And with the hope that I have with this proposal is that we make it clear that an income tax is unacceptable.